So the Visual Studio Code team just came out with something that they're calling Web Template Studio, which is basically just a wizard that is going to do a bunch of stuff under the covers to get a project running. So this is the Visual Studio Marketplace. You can go here to install it, but you could also just bring up Visual Studio Code, go to your extensions, and type in Web Template. And the Web Template Studio extension comes up, and if you install it, it's going to take a minute to come up. Okay, so it just finished installing, and I don't know, you may not need to do this, but I'm just going to reload the window, and that's Control-Shift-P on Windows. So we reload it, and then if we look at our extensions, we should see the Web Template Studio, and of course, VSCode gives you tons of stuff here. So what we'll do is we'll do Control-Shift-P, or I believe it's Command-Shift-P on a Mac, and Web Template Studio launch. We will launch it. And what will come up is, it's just going to walk you through. Right now, as is, they only have Express as your backend supported and React as the front end supported. I imagine pretty quickly they'll be adding some new projects. And we're going to choose a project name, so we'll just say WTS test for Web Template Studio test. And the output path, we'll choose our folder. Just pick my development path, and it should create a WTS test folder in my development folder. Project type, there's only one right now for a full stack web application. You look over here in the drop down, there's no other options. So we'll choose that, and you see it's selected. And then, as I mentioned earlier, they currently only have React and Node as your front end and back end, respectively. Those are selected. We'll choose next. This is where we're going to make a decision here. So you can get a blank where there are no pages created. You get a grid view, we get a list view, and we get a master detail. And we're going to choose a master detail. It'll give us a lot more to work with out of the box. And then this next page is some Azure options. So if you use Azure as your cloud provider, then you can use Azure. You can choose to use some Azure functions and Cosmos DB. But we're not going to do that. We're going to choose next. And then we get a summary of everything. We will choose generate template. And it tends to work pretty quickly. It's done already. Okay, so now that it's been generated, we're going to go to open folder. And we'll see here that our WTS test has already been created. Now it creates kind of 2 levels deep. And you'll see when the project opens that we've got a server for our Node backend. We've got a source for our React components. And then we've got sort of the typical React stuff. We've got our index where we get the root element and start our app. We've got the app.jsx where our app lives. The thing I want to look at here is the package.json. So when you look in the package.json, we'll see our dependencies that we get out of the box. And we'll also notice they've got some scripts set up for us already, which is kind of nice. We've got a start script that uses the concurrently package to sort of run the front end and back end together. Our start front end is using React scripts, so very likely this is getting bootstrapped with create React app. And if you try to run this, do an npm start. We should get a failure, right? Because we haven't done an npm install yet. If you're like me and you're a little impatient, we have to do an npm install first. Okay, so now that it's done, we can do an npm start. This time it should start up and it should launch the app in our browser. And now we've got our super exciting WTS test page. We've got a blank page and a master detail. So the blank obviously is this blank page, and the master detail. So out of the box, they give us some content to work with. And if we go back to Visual Studio Code, if we go back to the server, we'll see that they've already bootstrapped routes and an app.js and some constants and some other stuff. And this company data is coming from this sample data file. It's just got this array of objects. So that's what these are, right? So if we look at company A, see status closed, order dates Saturday, June 24, 2017. And so that is Web Template Studio. Looks like there's some real promise for building out different kinds of projects. It's a really nice way to sort of bootstrap an app quickly, doing all of that by hand, even just with the Node stuff and Express, setting all that up. It's certainly not that hard, but it might take you, might take you a little bit of time. It's nice to have something that'll just bootstrap that. It's nice to have this sort of all in one place. So that is Web Template Studio. Thanks for watching, everybody.